Next, we're going to have probably my, I don't know, I think it's one of the most important parts of our day, and that's when we have some patients and one caregiver come up and share their stories. Just as a coincidence, they happen to all be women this time, but I'd like to invite up the 4 patients and one caregiver and come up front. So we all met, the 5 of us met, or 6 of us met on Zoom a couple weeks ago so we could get to know each other, and I kind of told them topics that I might be asking them about, and I just wanted to thank them all for coming and being willing to share. So if each of you can introduce yourself and maybe say a little bit about what brings you here today and what happened.
Sure. My name is Karen Lindell. I live in Pinehurst. Had a mole in the middle of my back last year. We went from 0 to 60. It's not something I normally saw. But ultimately saw Dr. Olia, and we determined I had malignant melanoma stage 3. So I did the Nandina protocol. That's how I met Paula with Dr. Moskos, and that's why I'm here, thankfully.
My name is Sherry Cotham, and I'm a caregiver. My husband was diagnosed with stage 3 melanoma last year, and he's the one that shaved off the mole, and it grew, and you know, we just went through a heck of a time trying to get to the right place. Once we got here, it was amazing. So it's important to be an advocate for them.
Hey, I'm Kristen Vernon. I'm from Sanford. What's that?
Kristen.
Hi. And I was diagnosed with stage 3C melanoma last May, and then it quickly kind of progressed, and now it's stage 4. Can y'all hear me? Sorry. And I started off doing immunotherapy. It didn't really work, and so right now I'm taking Mektovi and Braftovi, and I'm waiting for a clinical trial to open up. So hopefully it'll open up sooner rather than later. But right now I seem to be, knock on wood, doing okay with the 2 chemo pills. Oh, sorry. We've got lots over here.
I'm Christy Fuss. I live near Fayetteville. I won't tell you the little town because you wouldn't know where it was anyway. But I was diagnosed with melanoma on my ear in February, I believe, of 2022. And they said there's just I think 2 to 5% chance that it would come back, and we don't need to do scans or anything like that. Well, November of 2023 or October of 2023, I found a big nodule in my hip, and it took till December of that year to determine that that was also melanoma. I had that removed and was referred to Dr. Moskos, and then found out in April of last year that really I had it everywhere, including my heart. And I'd always ask that question, no, people don't get cancer on their heart, but I got the call from Paula, it's on your heart. And so I thought that was it, but God had another plan. So praise God that I'm here.
Hi, my name is Kate Luttrell. I was diagnosed with a melanoma tumor on my foot in March of 2022, had surgery in April. Thought all was well until October of 23, when I discovered a bump on my foot and moved to stage 3. Started immunotherapy, went through all the ones listed that we talked about today, moved to stage 4, and ultimately I was the first TILS patient here at UNC. So doing well now.
So a lot of my patients remember exactly where and when they were when that dermatologist called and said melanoma. They'll tell me, I was in Walmart in aisle whatever and I got this call, or I knew it was bad when it was a Sunday night and the doctor was calling. I didn't know if anybody wanted to share kind of their first reaction when they got the news.
Well, whenever I got the news about my ear, I was at home alone, and it kind of sucked the wind right out of me. I had to take some deep breaths and pray, but my main concern at that point was my husband. And so I think probably most of these ladies can relate to that, you always care about your loved ones, because I think it's harder on them in many ways than it is on the patient themselves.
It was, I remember the time and everything, 7:55 on a Monday morning, July 8th. And we received the call from the primary care doctor who said, "You have melanoma, I'm really sorry." And, we talked about where we were going to go and what we were going to do, and we got right into UNC. We were just coming off of Sean having a thoracic aortic aneurysm, so he had a repair done here at UNC, so we were pretty adamant that we wanted to keep it at UNC, and we were lucky enough to be gifted with that. So Dr. Moskos and Dr. Myers and Paula, she sets the bar really high, because if it wasn't for her, I probably would have gone crazy.
So technology is a pretty amazing thing. I saw my diagnosis in my chart. So I got in there, I knew I was waiting for pathology, and I saw that I had basal cell as well as malignant melanoma. I knew enough, and thank you for your presentation today, because it helped me understand. I knew it was aggressive, but so that's how I found out. And then I had the amazing opportunity to work with Kim back there. And we had a long journey on trying to get the referrals. So that's how I came into this. Dermatology sent it to my primary care, and then, but I knew it's just figuring out kind of where to go and when to get started.
I don't think I mentioned the first time that my melanoma is on my scalp. And so I actually have been doing mole mapping at UNC since 2010. And actually, I was at a wedding in Charleston in 2018, and I was getting my hair done by this lady, and she's like, "What's on your head?" And I'm like, "I don't know. What is it?" So anyway, I called immediately here to get it biopsied, and in 2018, it came back as a compound nevus. So at that time, I think that's a fancy name for a mole. Is that right? So anyway, we've known about it, but then I just noticed probably spring of 23 that it was itching and burning, and I just asked to get it rebiopsied again, and it came back as melanoma. And it was, I think I had 2 lymph nodes taken out, and it was in one of the lymph nodes. So just be extra diligent about your scalp when you go to your dermatologist, because obviously that's a part of the body that you can't see. So, yeah.
I knew in my dermatologist's office. I've been for a decade doing 6-month skin scans with her, and she's removed all sorts of moles, and the routine's always the same. This is probably nothing, but we're going to take it and send it in. And this time she looked at it and she said, "Oh, we're taking that." And I thought, okay, bingo. This time it's going to be something. And so when she called a couple weeks later with the diagnosis, she called on a weekend, which is also a bad sign. And I wasn't really surprised. But
So what have you all found to be the most helpful from in your cancer care, either from family or friends or providers, and what has not been helpful?
I will tell you that the very best advice that I was given came from my brother-in-law, who underwent stem cell treatment for a brain tumor at the height of the pandemic. And what he told me is, trust your medical team. They've got this. They know what they're doing. Don't spend your time and energy trying to second guess or Dr. Google them or figure out whether this is the right way forward. They have your back. Trust that. And that was absolutely the best advice that I got at the very start of this program. And it's proven true. The UNC team here has been phenomenal. And I'm, I feel blessed to have ended up here and to have the care team that I have.
The most helpful thing to me is my faith in Christ, because whether I'm here or God chooses to take me home, I have peace. And so I've had peace all through the journey. And I'm just so thankful for that. And I just want to echo what my friend said here about the care team. The word team is what describes UNC. I think is probably different than most oncology offices. To have a team and to know somebody like Paula, I feel like we should give Paula a round of applause. Because I know she's so important to that care team, and to the many times that you've gotten a call from Paula if you're a patient, you know that she really cares, and I really have appreciated that.
Thank you.
I would second that. The team here is amazing, and the coordination of care between all the providers is amazing. And, I don't hesitate, I'm sure you realize this, to hop on my chart any day, any night with any question. And I know that at some point it's going to be answered. So I have faith that everyone on the team just really has our back. And, they're very good about saying, okay, this is what we're going to try, and, just don't give up. There every day there's new treatments, there's new things coming out, and so you just have to have hope and believe in that. So that's just very powerful to hear that and have people to really, remind you of that.
I'm gonna cry. I'm sorry. I saw Dr. Aaliyah on June 5th. I'm so sorry. I'm done. I thought, and I went by myself. I told my husband, "Don't worry, I'm good." I thought, we were just going to consult, have that mole removed. I was almost out the door, and he said, "Let's check under your arms." And he did. And he told my husband and I one time, he said, "I get this great, honestly." And I truly believe that, because if it had not been for him and the team, we were off to the races after that. He said, "You're a stage 3. And it kind of took my breath away. And he put his hand on my shoulder and he said, "You are very, very lucky that you're having this diagnosis today and not 10 years ago." And he said, "And we're going to be okay. We're going to get through this." So I appreciated him, because after that, I was with you and Dr. Moskos, and again, we were off to the races. So I appreciate you, Dr. Aaliyah, and I appreciate your team for getting us through this.
I think what I'm most thankful for is the team at UNC, because they didn't hesitate. They just got Sean right in. They took care of him. I made sure that his meds were given to him in the correct amounts and all of that stuff, but there was a lot of changes, a lot of going to the emergency room, and it's just, I'm just grateful that we chose to stay in-house with the doctors here at UNC. Because it just really made all the difference in the world.
Mrs. Cotham, so as a spouse, you know, it's a hard balance to, you know, hover, but not, you know, not too much, but kind of peek around the corner. Is he okay? Like, what's been the most difficult, you know, as a spouse or caregiver going through something like this?
Getting it wrong.
Like that responsibility about getting it, like you're in charge of
Yeah,
being his.
getting it wrong.
Just for the record, she got it right every time. She was awesome, so.
I didn't feel like I got it right every time. Just a lot of perseverance and never giving up, and we fought like cats and dogs. I didn't understand why he didn't remember things. I didn't understand why he wanted to combine multiple doctor's appointments. I didn't understand. And that's where I think I got it wrong. You just want to make sure that they're okay. You want to make sure they're fed. You want to make sure you get their meds right. You want to make sure everything is okay because they're going through so much that they have no control over. None of us had control. You know, as much as you feel like you had control, you do not have control. So giving that up, probably having no control was very difficult.
You did a good job, by the way.
Thanks. Thanks, babe. I ain't done yet.
Ms. Latrell, I'm going to put you on the spot because I know people are very, very interested and excited about this till adoptive therapy, and you were the first one to be brave enough to do it with us at UNC. Dr. Clicchio talked about it a little bit. Can you just share how challenging that experience was for you?
Well, it's you go into the hospital for a couple weeks, or 3 weeks now, I guess. The first couple days they do chemotherapy, which has its own side effects, none of which are pleasant. And then the next 3, they do a lower level, so you start to feel better. So the first 2 days are hell, next 3 days are all right. Then they infuse the cells. Now the cells are frozen. I have never been so cold in my entire life. And honest to God, this sticks with me more than anything else, just how cold I was. Then you go, and that all takes place on the bone marrow transplant unit. And then you go into medical ICU, and they start the IL-2. I don't have much memory of the IL-2. It was rough. But we came out the other side, and now I think people are staying longer. I actually went home after that, but my platelets and other things bottomed out, so I was back in the hospital every single day, which is, I think, led the program to decide to hang on to people longer than they hung on to me. The hard thing was I guess I thought that once I went through it, we'd see instantaneous results. Either it cured me, it shrunk the tumors, or nothing happened. And those were the 3 possible outcomes. And right afterwards, the tumors seemed to me to be getting bigger. So I had an inflammatory response, which turns out to be normal. But the treatment's actually very long-term. I had this in October. We've now gone through 3 sets of scans where my tumors are still shrinking. My next set will be in June, but nothing new has started to grow, and everything's smaller. So that's a great outcome. It was totally worth the 2 weeks in the hospital, 3 weeks, of really being unable to, just being bedbound, I guess. But it was it would, if I had to make the decision again, I would do it again. Said it.
Thank you. That was beautiful. Thank you. We were very honored that she put trust in us to take this big leap of faith. We've since had 3 or 4 other patients go through it, and yeah, it's a lot. But if it works, it's supposed to be a durable result. Is there anything that we as a team here or at UNC did that was not helpful or that we can improve upon? It's the emergency room discussion.
Yes. Here it comes. So I was on Nandina, and I obviously had the results or the inflammatory response and the colitis 30 times a day. Did not want to come back to the hospital. They convinced me to come. And I think I spent 36 hours in the ED before I was admitted to the unit. And I understand that that's a problem nationwide with our emergency departments, but and there are patients, I'm sure, oncology patients far sicker than I am. But 36 hours in that environment was rough. So if there's anything that could be done future state about a separate, D zone, someplace for your oncology patients prior to going up, I think that would be huge and that would be beneficial.
I second the motion. Yeah, because we had that same experience, except I was so sick and I wasn't willing to stay, so I said, take the IV out, I got to go home. We live an hour and a half away, hour and 45 minutes, and just sitting there, being in that condition, I couldn't do it. And I did come back later in the week and got what was that drug?
Infliximab.
Yes, I did get that drug. But I could have gotten it in the hospital had things moved along like they should have. So, yes, definitely, if they could improve that, that would be wonderful.
Does anybody from our audience want to share or ask any questions? Mr. Cotham?
I just love to talk, so you'll have to forgive me. I just want to say, well, first off, thank you, because Paula, she's like Top Gun. She's on it.
Thank
They ain't getting away. Every time Sherry had a question or a concern, whether it was valid, not valid,
Happens all
really
the time.
irrelevant, Paula was all over it. And she called back and she emailed right away, so thank you for that.
You're welcome.
But I will just say, there are things that are gonna happen when you go through this treatment. You don't come out the other side the same. You're not the same person. Emotionally, physically, there's some side effects that happen that it's just now part of your life. So this team, the support that they give because of that, like we saw these people come up and talk about programs, there's really not too many other programs, I think, that have that much support to it. And so, just appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.